Hello everyone and welcome to Muse for You. This is John, your Adobe Muse instructor, and in today's video we're going to be going over the Layers panel in Adobe Muse. The Layers panel is really important in order to have all your elements either in the front or behind other elements, and I'll show you a quick example of that. I've created this sample site here, and if I hit Command-Shift-E, what we notice is first I have this menu sticking to the top of the browser, so it sticks as I scroll, and what you'll notice is that everything else goes over the menu. The reason that is because if we look in the layers panel, the layers panel is actually right here on the right, and if I click on layers right here, we can see that we have layer 1. By default, all the elements you create initially are going to be in layer 1 unless you create a new layer and put your elements in the new layer. So if I click on this down here arrow here next to layer 1, I can see all my different elements, and I can select them by hitting this right little box here to the right of the name of the element. And so there's a few ways to get. So what we want to happen is that these elements go behind that menu. So the way the layers work is that anything on the top is in front of anything below it. So the menu's at the bottom, so the rectangle, this rectangle down here is on top of the menu, this rectangle up here is on top of the menu, and this text is on top of the menu. So an easy way to fix that is just to click and hold the menu and then drag it up above everything else. Alright, right there. So all we did was and I'll do it again. So the menu's on the bottom, you just click and drag this element to the top, and now menu is on the top and everything else is below the menu. So that ensures that the menu will stay on the top. So if I hit Command-Shift-E and now we scroll, and everything goes behind the menu, which is what we want. Alright, so I'm going to go back and put the menu behind everything and hit Command-Shift-D, so now everything is over the menu, which is what we don't want, and show you another way to bring, if you have a specific element that you know you want to be on top of everything, in this case we know it's the menu, we want it to be on the top of everything. So let's say you have a lot of elements, and instead of going to the layers panel, there's a little shortcut that you can do. If you right click on the element, in this case it's the menu, you right click arrange, and then you click bring to front, and if you noticed here in the layers panel, the menu jumped all the way to the top, and now it's in the front. Alright, so if I hit Command-Shift-E, the menu is in the front, and we can even send it to back as well by right-clicking, arrange, right-click, then go to arrange, and then send to back. And now the menu again is the last thing, and everything is on top of the menu. The menu is now behind everything. So again, right-click, arrange, bring to front, and again we have our menu in the front. Alright, so that becomes really useful when you're working with a lot of elements and you want certain elements to be in front or behind other elements. Especially when you're working with scroll effects. Some elements, because of the movement of the scroll effect, some elements tend to either end up behind other elements or in front of other elements, and the layers panel is a great way to make sure that everything is where it needs to be, and also the arrange and bringing to front and bringing to back will help you get the elements that you want in the front and the elements that you want in the back. But understanding the layers menu is very important, because it helps you stay organized and it helps you see the different elements in your website and kind of rearrange them just by moving things around here in the layers panel. Another thing you can do in the layers panel is you can create a new layer. So let's say I have a bunch of elements, and now I'm working on a different section of the site, and I want to kind of separate my layers just to stay organized, and in case I do want to put a whole group of elements on top or in front of another group of elements, I can do that easily by creating different layers. So now I have this layer 2, And I can actually, I think I can rename the layer options. Yep. So if I right click on this layer and go to layer options, I can call the layer anything I want. I can actually change the color, so I can change it to green. So any elements that I select will have a green outline, and I'll show you what that looks like. So I'll create a rectangle, and as you can see, it has a green outline around it, and that means it's under layer 2. Okay, if I put it under layer 1, it now has a blue outline. So it's color coded, and it helps you kind of work with your site and see the different elements in your site in a different way. And I'll take the stroke off here. All right, and again, I'll create one more layer, layer 3, and that's red. So if I hit, even if I copy this rectangle here, because I'm on layer 3, I have layer 3 selected. I'm going to copy this rectangle and paste it. Here, let me fill it in with you know, a color. Let's fill it in with like this color here, and I'll fill this one in with this color here. All right. So we know that this yellow here is in layer 2, and we can see that these squares here get lighted up to green, and if I click on this green one, it's in layer 3, it's red. And I can even take this rectangle, this element, and put it in layer 2, and now it has the green outline and it's in layer 2. So layers play a pretty big part, and if I put the menu in layer 2, we know that the menu is going to be on top, it's always going to be on top of any elements in layer 1. So if I hit Command Shift E, the menu is on top. And now let me bring layer 2, let me close these just to see the layers. If I bring layer 2 below layer 1, the menu is going to be in the back. Alright, that's because layer 1 is now on top of layer 2. So if I put layer 2 on top and I hit Command Shift E, the menu is now on top. So layers is a great way to stay organized. You know, you can have a lot of different elements and organize it within your layers. And the last thing I'm going to show you that you might want to do sometimes is you want to maybe group elements. And you group elements by, let's say I'm going to click on this rectangle, I'll click on this rectangle, and I'll click on this text. And if I right click, I can click on, oh no, let's try this. Okay, I can't group that. There we go. And I see, so for some reason I can't group two rectangles, but I can group a rectangle and a text box. So if I select this text box and this rectangle here, and I right click, I can select group, and now this rectangle and this text here are grouped, and if I move them around, they move together. And in the layer 1, I can see it says group now, and if I click on this arrow in the group, I see how I have my my layers panel text and my rectangle, and I can even ungroup it by selecting this text here and moving it under layer 1, and now this text is no longer grouped with this rectangle. Alright, let me just undo all of that. There we go. So the layers panel is very useful, and it'll help you stay organized and kind of put objects in front or behind. Again, anything that's on top is in front, and anything that's lower to the bottom is in the back. Yeah, is in the back. So another way of saying it, yeah, anything in the front, anything on top is in the front of your website. Alright, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.